we've got 3,200 delta V, and we need that to circularize, transfer, and deorbit the land. We'll see how we get on. Don't think we're going to have enough delta V. We need to be left with at least 1,800, ideally 2,000 delta V after circularization. I don't think we're going to get it. Yep, we're under 2K. We've not even started circularizing yet. Rip. We need more fuel in the upper stage. Use a vacuum engine instead of a main cell not help. Kind of. I mean, we could look to change the engine, but that engine kicks in from about what was it, about 30,000 meters it was kicking in from? I'm going to limit the thrust on these. Try to replace the SRBs with 8 kickback ones. That should save 15 tons and have more thrust as well. Actually, I don't know which SRBs we're using here. Using the... That's kickback. So that has 1,155 kilonewtons of thrust and weighs 51 tons. If you have 2 of them, it's 48 tons. You only save... If you double up, you basically... You get about the same thrust. I don't know if you get it for the same duration. Solid fuel, 78 per second. 43.5 tons. It's probably a difference of about 4 tons a go, I guess. Does it burn for as long? That's the question. This burns propellant a little bit more quickly, look, because 2 of them would burn 82 per second, whereas that burns 78 per second. So what you lose in weight, so what you gain in weight, you lose in duration, I guess. But yeah, we could look at the engine. Because we're using the mainsail, which is quite a good engine. It's also a vectored engine. Because I don't think these can vector, can they? Or can they? Can thuds vector? They can. So we don't need this engine to gimbal anymore because we have gimbal from this, which we didn't have before. So in theory we could replace the mainsail if we can find a better engine in a vacuum. I think a poodle's not going to have enough thrust. That has 1500 kilonewtons in a vacuum. Poodle's got 250. There's a bit of a difference. You can't just swap the main cell for a poodle. That ain't gonna work. It's a huge, huge difference. I mean, one option is to get rid of this section completely and just effectively have radial engines here. Then 5 in a vacuum, 110 in a vacuum. Don't have many radial engines. Mine sounds way too inefficient. I was looking at ISP in a vacuum. It's exactly what I was reading off. I was reading off 305 in a vacuum right there. And I was reading off that one, which said 310 in a vacuum. But the point is, we can't... Like 120 kilonewtons is... Like, to make up for the thrust of that, we need 10 of them. Over 10 of them. 10 of these engines just to get one of them in terms of thrust. If we can find a replacement for that. The game makes you do way too much maths. 550 for that. See, even that's only 305 in a vacuum. $2,000 kilonewtons. That's insane. So even unlocking this stuff isn't going to help us. We don't need to attach fuel tanks radially. We just have more fuel here. The only problem is the thrust to weight ratio. We might have to double up on these engines. If we... Let's try that. Do that, it allows us to bring in more fuel. Well, the upper stage in a vacuum it's huge. I mean, even on the moon, the upper stage, which is where it's going, has like an 8-to-1 thrust to weight ratio. But the problem is, like, the more fuel you put up here, it's got to get out the atmosphere with that amount of weight. Modern Messiah, thank you, 22. The only reason to be concerned about thrust to weight once we're outside of Kerbal is landing on the moon, which it can more than cope with. But I've added a set of engines just so that it can carry more fuel. try that. The engines are not lined up. Are you serious? I thought they were. Oh, I don't care if one's a little higher. Like, you know, just not that bothered. You'll fix it in a minute. I'm more concerned with them being radially lined up, which they appear to be, at 90 degrees. Lost Pitman, thank you for almost 2 years. All this to get some fuel tanks on the moon, eh? Of course, you could just fly them there one tank at a time, but that's no fun. SRBs are about to go. Bit of a wiggle. That was pretty decent timing this time. Apoapsis is coming up a lot better. You need MechJeb if you want the ascent guidance. It's a KSP mod. 3000 Delta V, we've not circularized yet. Still don't have enough fuel. Did you have the center stage lit? Yeah. This is going to be a lot closer to what we need, but it's still not quite got enough Delta V. 2,000 left before circularization. We need 500 for the circularization. Oh, that leaves us like 1,500. That's so close. 1,500. We need a minimum of 1,800. Still need more fuel up there. Start filling the center tank. Maybe what we need to do is put those, you know, those mini SRBs you can put on. They're like little tiny ones just to help to give you that initial kick. Maybe we need to do that. SRBs on the SRBs kind of deal. Let's put a lot of fuel in. So we need to make sure we can still boost in the upper atmosphere. How about running the sardines from the start? If we did that, we're going to burn the fuel in the upper stage, and that's going to create problems when we get up there. That's quite a low thrust to weight ratio. But, you know, we don't know till we try. Engines, right, size. Solid fuel booster. Is that the little stubby ones? Yeah, the hammers. This is the one. The hammer. Just to get you going. It's worth a try. How long do they burn for? Like 23 seconds. Just get you off the ground, don't they? Fleas are also good. I thought fleas were bad. That's what the vet says. I mean, that one. That's a tiny little thing. That's an awful lot of thrust to weight going on. Let's come down here. Drop those engines to that. Separation is here. And here. Probably derate these a little bit now. Get a longer burn out of it. Right, let's go for launch. Yeah, it's possible, PC gaming. It's whether it's probable. You still think that your thrust to weight is a lot higher for stage 2 since it only activates much higher in the atmosphere? I hope you're right. Wait, what? I seem to be missing a set of hammers. Anyone else feel like the career mode's a bit too grindy, a little bit stressful? I think the thing about career mode PC gaming is you shouldn't really do it until you're very familiar with Kerbin. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off just playing around in sandbox and then doing science mode, so you don't have to care about the cost of things, and you can find out, because you've got to get experience with so many different engines and why is that bouncing again and stuff. that if you play career mode too soon, you'll just find it awful. It's so hard. Nothing important. Seem to be twisting slightly. You like a mode where you have to get the astronaut experience and upgrade buildings, but not worry about the money. Yeah. I don't know how you do it though. I kind of get why they did the whole money thing, because there has to be a cost associated with your decisions, but I do find it a little bit frustrating playing career mode. So 20,000 meters before the upper stage fires. There's always the debug menu, yeah. I mean, you can change some of the settings as well, the difficulty options. For a start, if you play career mode, you could start with more money. Just to take the grind out of it. Well, that's what I'm doing to Jonas, playing science mode. But in science mode, you don't upgrade buildings like you do in career mode. So, like, you don't have access to things. Like, for example, your Kerbal, there's only so many you can have until you've upgraded that facility. That's not in science mode. Do you know what? I don't think we've benefited from Delta V in any way. Like, we just stuck those hammers on and not benefited at all. We had like 1,500 left to circularize with last time. And now we've still got 2,000. And no doubt that's going to cost us about 600. Oh, it's only costing 300. That's interesting. That's going to leave it very, very, very tight for fuel. But possibly, maybe, we could do it. Play hardcore science mode. We're going to have to be very, very efficient with Delta V. There's a very good chance we'll run out of fuel on landing. Okay, 1,800 left. I prefer 2,000. That would feel more comfortable. So the minimum we need is 860 for the transfer, plus 310 for the orbit, plus 580 for landing. That's 1,750. That's 60 Delta V to throw away. I don't like those odds. I don't like those odds at all. I reckon we try throwing a bit more fuel in the upper stage and seeing if we can get away with it. I ain't messing about with 50 Delta V. Like they're theoretical minimums. Let's chuck in that much fuel. That's the pilot in Utah. Dude, I would not get in that rocket if somebody said to me, you can land on the moon with all this fuel, but you've got 50 Delta V to spare. I'd be like, nope, I ain't going. I want more fuel. See how that goes. Mr. Halrock, thank you for 2 months. Yeah, do you want a link to the Delta V map? There you go. I've got a feeling KSB has just crashed. Because I can see a pop-up dialogue. Has it crashed? No, it's back. There was like a little pop-up invisible dialogue that had appeared in Windows, and I thought, oh, it's dead. I'm going to turn off the limit on max Q and see if it gets away with that. We get the full benefit of the boosters. What's the minimum Delta V? I would like 200. Like if I can circularize and have 2,000 left, I feel reasonably comfortable. Because the landing on the moon has to be very exact. Like we're trying to aim for a very specific place, and we want a bit of Delta V just to make sure we land on a flat surface. Like 200 minimum. So if we can finish on 2,000, I'll be happy with that. For error. You can lose 50 Delta V just getting a maneuver slightly wrong. Oh, that was perfect timing. Like they both went at the same time. I've already got the bus Valtrex, I'm just not allowed to show it yet. I'm under NDA. Do you like space exploration? What do you mean, Ollie? Yeah, I'm going to try and get a video out for tomorrow, Valtrex. I think the main was off by a second or two. It was the closest I've had it so far. We're coming up on an APO of 70 with 3,000 left. Not doing so bad. Not even tried to land this on the moon yet, that's the thing. I've no idea how it even handles. We might get to the moon and just find out that this thing's impossible to land properly. Oh boy. Wait, what was that? I just heard something separate then. Oh, that's ferry. Got a little bit worried. 1900 we've got now. 1900 Delta V. I can't get to the magic 1,000. Just go to mods.squirrel.tv, hence this. It's easy to remember. If the big sensor engine is insufficient to the size, drain the fuel and drop it. It's about thrust as well. I mean, we could drop it now. Right, so here's an interesting quandary, right? We're in orbit at 1900 delta V. If we detach the main engine now, in theory, our delta V will go up, won't it? Because of all that extra weight will be gone, and we can just carry on these thrusters. So do you think it's worth separating now and then deorbiting this engine? We don't need to grab the fuel. We need some fuel to deorbit this thing. Like, that's the point of that fuel there. If I put that back, the delta V goes back up. We just need to have just enough fuel to deorbit. So if we take all that out, I normally bring about 50 in, normally way enough. Like that. Do an F5 to burn to the moon, then release. No, I'm saying if we get rid of it now, then all our transfers now should be better, right? So if I F5 that, and then we'll point prograde, detach the engine. Because in theory, if you don't have this engine, you don't have all the weight of it, all the mass. You don't need to move it around. We don't need to accelerate it to the moon. In theory, we should have more delta V. But let's find out. So our delta V just went up to 2143. Well, Hannah, we just proved the theory. Now, the only problem is I don't have any electric charge. Because this doesn't have a battery. I don't think. So there's a flaw in the whole design, which we've just become aware of. Yeah, there's a guidance unit tucked away, but it has no power. Oh, God. That thing needs a battery on it. It was so, like, it was going so well. I reckon you could get rid of the main engine once you've achieved your APO anyway. Right, to tuck a little battery on here. Do you know, I think I used to have a battery on here. I seem to remember having a battery on here and then getting rid of it. Thinking, oh, I don't need that though. One rechargeable battery. And one tiny little solar panel. It's all just a trickle charge. That's all you need. Just a trickle charge. Up here, it has batteries and a couple of trickle charge panels there as well. So it's okay. And if you get really desperate, you can deploy the massive solar panels. That was going so well. You do realize the guidance unit had built-in batteries, so why was it completely flat of all power, Larry? Tom Brad, thank you for 31 months. Why was it totally flat? It's the most aerodynamic rocket in the whole of history. I have seen much worse creations than this in Kerbal Space Program. No, it doesn't work that way. The upper stage doesn't steal the power. That's not the way power works. Power's like water. It flows from high potential to low potential. So if there's like batteries here and an empty battery here, it'll just flow until they're both equal. That's just how it works. Is it model the gravity assist acceleration and counter rotation orbits? I don't know. I think so, but I'm not sure. Guidance unit is empty because you have nothing charging it yet. Wait, these engines generate electricity. So it should have charged it up by now, surely. Is that our shadow? That is such a perfect separation. I'm thinking once it finishes its burn, I'm going to disengage autopilot because I've got an idea. We have a backup plan? Nah. Oh, there's the ball of rock we're trying to get to. Backup plan is always to load the quick save. Kevin, thank you, 45. Okay, right, burn is going to finish. I'm going to disengage the autopilot. I'm going to keep pointing prograde. I'm going to separate that engine and then tell it to circularize at the apo. If it had been really clever, I'd have nicked that bit of fuel as well, but I forgot. PC gaming, no problem, mate. No problem. No, John Bly, we don't need it. Like, because my idea is to just throw it away and it'll just crash to the ground. So we now have a bit more Delta V. But we could have had even more, maybe another 50 if I'd nicked the fuel. So 2,155 we now have. And our engine, which is here somewhere. That should be falling back down to Kerbal and detonate. Yeah, we're making progress. Let's see if we can get over to the moon now. You think SpaceX SN10 plans to launch on Wednesday? What they're doing this time? A sub using Prime, do I have to keep pressing sub next month? Yes, you do. Yep. You can't auto-renew Prime. Because every time you press subscribe with Prime, Jeff Bezos hurts a little bit inside. Just a little bit. Because it costs him money. So you cause him pain. So you can't auto-renew that. Because you're going to cause him automatic pain. So they disable the automatic pain and say, you have to press to hurt Jeff. Right? You have to take that decision. Well, you can press it 3 times. That would be a tier 3. Actually, you can't do that. You can only do tier 1 with Prime.
Hey Paul and chat, I won't be here all the time today, but we'll be ducking in and out.
Chris, no problem, mate. Honestly, it's not a problem. Like, I don't expect anybody to just, like, watch the stream from start to finish. Come and go. How do you plan on getting back to Earth? I don't have a plan for getting back to Earth. This is an unmanned craft that's designed to sit on the moon's surface. Jeff has eaten more people than Smaug. Wow. Wow. We're going to waste 12 Delta V just getting a slightly nicer approach. Context matters. What was the context? I would watch the whole stream, just never show when you go live. Robert, there are lots of ways to find out when I'm going live. Lots of ways to find out when I'm going live. One of them is schedule.squirrel.tv. Like, literally go to squirrel.tv website and it will tell you what the schedule is on there. That's one option. Another option is to go to my channel on Twitch and look underneath on the schedule tab. It tells you there as well. And another way, because you're subbed in Discord, there's an announcement in the announcement channel every time I go live. Yeah, yet another way is to join a stream randomly and ask when I'm next live. Where's my not that one. I'm going to find it in a minute, one sec. There you go. So the other one is to go to twitch.tv/squirrel, right? And then click on my name here. Just click on my name on the page. And then you're presented with like the channel and the recent updates. And then here, there's a schedule tab. And you click on that. And lo and behold, you'll see a list of schedule. But if it's a stream that's not yet happened, you can click a reminder button over here. And when you do that, it will remind you when I go live. So that's like one way of doing it. The other one is to go to the Squirrel TV website. And then up here, Twitch schedule, and it tells you here when I'm live. So that's another way of doing it. You can click follow and be told when I go live. That's another way of doing it. But you're already following, so that's not working. But, you know, hope that helps. You can demonstrate by looking at next week's schedule on Twitch, Hannah. Hang on.
You're in for me.
Oh, go away, stupid heads. Right, next week's schedule. Let's have a look. Oh, look. Next week's schedule. Now, this may change because it's like we only update it on Monday, Tuesday. But you can click here to remind me. Just click that. That's all you do. Ads on your own channel. Welcome to Twitch. My sim life. We've taken me through the hard times, especially during Corona time when my granny was suffering from cancer and now she has COVID. It's hard, but you helped me. My sim life, mate, I am glad I can help in some way. I really am. And best wishes to you, Grandma. Hannah. Shh. Swap there. Right. Electric should be fine. Yeah, fully maxed out. Okay. Let's get into the sphere of influence. Next thing we're going to want to do is change our periaps to 15k. Okay. 11 Delta V coming out of our budget. Actually, I should have aligned first, shouldn't I? I really should have changed inclination. Okay, looks like we're already on a 0 incline. Looks good. Right, circularize. At the next Perry, go. 270 out the budget. We're going to have 1,000 Delta V left for me to completely mess up the landing. The landing takes at about, is it 600 or so? Yeah, it's about 600 for a clean landing. I've never, ever tried to land this vehicle, Jimbo. I have no idea how it behaves. Although with like 6 gimbaling engines on, it should in theory have a lot of control. I've also got to land it near the rover, but not like on the rover. Well, there you go. With 1,000 Delta V left, we're in orbit. There is the rover. There you go. That's nicely in the daylight. Right, we'll F5 that and see if we can start heading down there. Landing guidance. This is where it starts to get fun because we're going to have to be pretty accurate with this one. Pick a target on the map. There. Rover minus set as target. We're going to go for that. If you're in orbit, is there a time where the orbit just stops? And another question, what keeps an item in an orbital status? Is there a time when the orbit stops? No. Theoretically, no. So you're in a vacuum, right? So there's nothing to change your... There's nothing to change your orbit. It would require something to push on you or for you to push off something. Otherwise, you're basically constantly falling around the planet. It's a kind of hard thing to get your head around initially, but... Like, if you wasn't moving, you'd fall straight towards the rock. If you start sort of propelling yourself that way, if you go quickly enough around and around and around, it can't pull you in, but you're kind of constantly falling inwards, but you're going so quickly that you never fall in at all. And that's an orbit. A bit like what is happening with the moon around Kerbin, yeah? It's going around so quickly that Kerbin can't pull it in. If it slowed down, it would start to fall inward. And if it went quicker, it would start to fly off. And that's the definition of an orbit. Right, landing guidance, let's see. We've picked a target on the map. Land at the target or land somewhere? Well, let's land at the target, shall we? Let's walk round to here first. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, orbits are not usually circular either. They're, like, slightly eccentric. Like, they're not perfectly circular, they're slightly squished. And, you know, there's all kinds of other detail that you don't need to know. You're not flying, you're falling in style, pretty much. Right, F5 that. Then we shall say land at target. And we'll see. I'll take over manually when we get nearer the ground. Because this thing never works particularly well. Okay, it starts off by flying right past. Any particular reason for that, I wonder? Don't fancy it? Do a go around? Okay. Personally, I'd have just started, you know, going in, but whatever. Okay, it's starting to spin us round for a maneuver node this time. I guess I must have been too late for it. It wanted to be in a maneuver node about here. Even though it's not showing me the maneuver node. $980 delta V left. I don't think... Okay. That's an early... Personally, I'd have slowed down a bit later, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Dude, what are you doing? You need to hit the brakes, like, right now. This is not going to work. Come on. He's almost on top of it. Oh god, I've got 800 Delta V left. I swear I'm going to run out. If I run out of fuel, I'm just going to do it manually. $500 Delta V. Of course, the good news is we can land anywhere and the rover can come over to us and refuel us, right? So there is that. Suicide burn hype. Dude, you can't land on top of it. Don't do that. It is literally going to land on top of it. Right, abort also land. I shall take over from here. Why I have no control? I can't throttle up. What's going on? I literally can't throttle up. I can't do anything. Is that out of electric power? Rip. No, we've got loads of power and I literally can't do anything and I can't throttle up. It's nothing. Landing attempt 1 was not successful. No comms? How can we have no comms? Is it just bad timing? Is it just happens to be that Kerbal just happens to be facing away right now? Was that my last save? Okay. Maybe it was just bad timing. Oh, because we're on the other side. Ah, we're facing away. Scumbaggery. We have a problem. Right. That's a problem. Unless we've got an orbiting relay station at the right angle, I can't see what I'm doing and face Kerbal. Or we just basically accelerate time until the moon's over here. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend a solar panel so that this thing doesn't completely die on us. And we're just going to wait till we jiggle our way over here. There we go. That's better. You have to wait till there's a green line again. There we go. So we've got a green line, we've got comms. PC Gaming, I am happy to help, my man. Honestly. Right, gotta wait till the rover is on the light side. We can get relay comms from the probe, can't we, in theory? That's about to go around the back. I need an orbiting satellite around Kerbal so that we don't have quite this problem. I think we can still control, can't we? If... can we get a relay? This is a big problem. I need the moon to be on this side, in line like that, don't I? Something like that should do it. Yeah. It's never going to happen, is it? I'm never going to be able to control this thing. Oh, God. Well, we have a relay satellite. I think that probe has a relay on it. I'm sure it does. Oh, this does. Something does. Well, I ain't landed in the dark, that's for sure. Maybe if we're at 90 degrees, we can get a bit luckier. Well, this is a pain.
I think I broke something.
Kerbal Communications, perhaps you need to upgrade to the latest 5G internet.
I need something. Oh, dear. Yeah, we can see the comms bouncing from the relay. The problem is once this thing comes around the back, here. God, can't believe that. Once it comes around the back, I have no comms anymore. It's bouncing comms to that, but it's not bouncing comms to this. You can see the green line, but it's not. There's no line of sight to here. So right now, this is not going to work. You almost need to be lucky or just come back and add more satellites. Well, I mean, what MacJeb's doing right now, it's going to land us right on top of it. I'm just going to move the goalpost on it and see if it can land us.